What's up, guys? We are back with Week 7 NFL Sunday action. Let's dive in and break down all of these games and find the value out there in an action-packed Sunday. If you want to win all of your bets this weekend, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that badge next to your comments keeps me fired up and motivated to make this channel even bigger and better. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering NFL, NCAA football, MLB, NHL, UFC, and we have the NBA season tipping off here in just a couple days. This is one of the best times of the year to be in the mix with so many sports going on. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up, and also join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox and to track our new $100 to $10,000 challenge, which is going on right now. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, the early London game between the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. New England comes into this game straight up not having a good time. At 1-5 on the season, things are looking pretty bleak. They took a tough loss last week against Houston, losing 41-21, and when you haven't even been able to win your games this year against teams like the decimated Miami Dolphins, bleak times right now for New England Patriots fans. We saw Drake May out there, 20 of 30 passing, 243 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, which has to look great out there, but 2 interceptions, and he was sacked 4 times. He wasn't quite as dynamic in the running game as I would have kind of thought he would be, but overall, I don't think you can be too crushed with what you saw out there from your rookie quarterback in his first NFL action. He did some positive things. He threw the ball relatively well. This is not a great team overall, so I can't really be expecting any miracles from him out there, but you'll take what you can get at this point. This is definitely a developmental, tank it out kind of season right now for the Patriots. The running game didn't look amazing in that loss. Obviously, Antonio Gibson getting the start, 13 carries, 19 yards. That's real bad, guys. Not a lot of positives to report for the Patriots on offense or really on defense. They couldn't slow down the Texans passing attack too much. I guess holding CJ Stroud under 200 passing yards and getting a interception in there is not terrible, but they got shredded by Joe Mixon in the running game, something they're going to have to watch out for here against Jacksonville. So not a lot of great things for me to say right now about the New England Patriots, guys. It's looking like a rough season, and it's the same for their opponent in this game. The Jaguars come into this one fresh off of a loss last week in London, falling against the Bears 35-16. Losing there can't feel too good, guys. Jacksonville continues to flounder. We see Doug Peterson probably on his way out there in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence continues to seemingly get worse. The defense, we've got players coming out saying they gave up in that game, and the Jaguars just not looking too hot. Trevor Lawrence, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks in that last game. We saw Mac Jones come in. He got sacked once and completed 1 pass. This is not a team that's getting great quarterback play. The running game also didn't look good, guys. The running game was supposed to be a strength of Jacksonville this season. That has absolutely not been the case. Lots of things swirling out there that Doug Peterson could definitely be let go if the Jaguars lose another game here. And Jacksonville on defense had pretty much no answer out there for Caleb Williams. He threw 4 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. They did sack him 3 times, so that's something, but Jacksonville also had no answer there for the run. So really rough stuff out there from the Jaguars across the board. They are not having a good time this season. They are just looking like a broken, terrible team right now, and kind of the same thing can be said for the New England Patriots. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Jaguars are -6, which seems a little bit bonkers to me. We've got an over-under out there of only 42. New England, they are 1-4-1 against the spread this year. They're 3-3 to the over-under. Jacksonville, they are 2-4 against the spread this season and 3-3 to the over-under as well. Guys, favorites are 36-10-1 straight up and 32-15 against the spread in international games. Rookies before last week, obviously Caleb Williams breaking the trend there. We're 0-5 against the spread in international games. Obviously him going nuts kind of messed that up. Can Drake May do the same thing? Seems like a big stretch to me in this one. I think, guys, and this feels terrible, and this is not going anywhere near the pinned comment, but I think the Jaguars are the side you want to be on in this game. They've got to be in desperation mode out here. I think Doug Peterson probably wants to keep his job for another week. Kind of hard to tell, and one of the reasons I'm not willing to get on this game in a meaningful way is I don't know if Drake May might have a big, game out there, and I don't know if this Jaguars team is just completely quit on this season. So give me Jacksonville as a small lean in this one. I also think taking the under 42 is very, very reasonable in this one. I don't think either offense is going to look good. Not that I love either defense necessarily, but neither one of these offenses really fill me with optimism. So Jacksonville and the under are my leans in this game, but I am staying far, far away. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Seattle Seahawks going on the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle comes into this game at 3-3 on the season. They have lost their last 3 games in a row after getting off to a great start there. Yeah, the problem has kind of been their defense last week against the San Francisco 49ers. It felt like Seattle had their chances in that game, but yeah, a couple Geno Smith interceptions. He passed the ball 52 times, completed 30 passes for over 300 yards, but getting sacked once and those couple of interceptions really sank the ship there. The Seattle running game didn't look great, but didn't get a ton of work since they were trailing in this game. And yeah, overall, guys, the problem continues to be the Seattle defense, guys. I mean, bringing in a new coach was supposed to, help things, but this defense is terrible against the run and the pass. They made Brock Purdy look insane out there. 3 passing touchdowns, 255 yards. They sacked him 0 times. They also could not handle the San Francisco running attack at all, giving up 228 rushing yards in the game. This Seattle defense is just atrocious, guys. No doubt about it. They've struggled all season long, and I don't know that there's any reason this is going to turn around right now. They are 24th in the National Football League, giving up 25 points per game, and they really haven't even played that tough of a schedule. I know playing against the 49ers and Detroit is tough, but that loss against the Giants, not looking so hot. So not loving what we're seeing from the Seattle Seahawks right now. They're taking on the Atlanta Falcons, who have now won 3 in a row. Winning 3 NFC South games consecutively has to feel pretty great. Taking down New Orleans in a close one, another close, very big deal primetime win there against Tampa Bay, and then last week comfortably handling the Carolina Panthers 38-20 in a game that maybe isn't exactly reflective of the final score. The outcome isn't exactly reflected by the final score, but overall, can't be too mad about what we're seeing from Atlanta. Are they as good as their 4-2 record? Maybe not, but they are finding ways to win right now. Kirk Cousins coming off a good game, 19 of 30, 225 yards and 1 touchdown. He didn't have to do too much out there, sacked 0 times. Nice for him to have a little bit of a week off from, getting banged up, and that is all thanks to that elite Atlanta running game, guys. We saw Algier put up over 100 yards. We saw Robinson put up 95 yards. They combined for 3 touchdowns, and that was all on 33 carries. Crazy production there. Absolutely elite stuff. We did see 1 turnover there from Atlanta. Ray McLeod putting the ball on the ground there as a receiver. You cannot be fumbling the ball away, but really loving what we saw from that Atlanta Falcons offense in that game. And nice to see them thrive without Kirk Cousins having to throw the ball some staggering amount of times or take a bunch of hits. And on defense, looking good against the Panthers. Maybe not that incredible. Andy Dalton got picked off a couple of times. They didn't sack him, so that's a little bit concerning. And they did, give up a lot in the running game to Chuba Hubbard, but overall, guys, I think we can't feel terrible about this Falcons defense. I mean, they come into this game sitting somewhere around the middle of the pack in the NFL in terms of points allowed per game, but this is a good passing team. This is a good offense overall. Had they faced the toughest schedule, it hasn't been a cupcake schedule at all, so I'm liking right now what I'm seeing from the Atlanta Falcons. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see Atlanta at -3. We've got an over-under of 51 out there. Seattle, they are 1-4-1 against the spread. They are 5-1 to the over. Atlanta, they're 3-3 against the spread and 3-3 to the over-under. Guys, I think this is a very good game to look at the over. I think we're going to see plenty of offense from both teams. Atlanta definitely has a penchant for playing in some high-scoring games, guys. I mean, in a terrible game against Carolina, a terrible opponent, we saw 58 total points get scored. 66 total points got scored the week before in Atlanta's game. And Seattle, they've got no defense, and they can definitely score. We saw 60 points scored in their game last week. So give me over 51 as my lean in this game. Jumping in with our first ever ad for a site besides Stump the Spread, guys, and we are super excited to promote Bet Openly. This sportsbook is extremely exciting to me as they are not a regular book that carries risks or takes positions on the games. They are a peer-to-peer book where you will have an actual real person on the other side of your bets. You will be paying drastically reduced juice on your bets, much closer to 1% than the 10% you would pay at any normal sportsbook, so you won't be fighting against any built-in house edge. Bet Openly has no investment in whether you win or lose your bet. All they are there to do is pair you up with someone who wants to take the opposite side that you want. They currently support all game duration bets, props, and parlays, and you can even be the house on parlays, so you need only one leg there to win. Most importantly, bet openly will never limit your account for being a winning bettor like you see from all the big sites out there these days. If you're interested in signing up, use our referral link in the description of this video and let's make some money together. Now guys, back to the games. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Tennessee Titans going on the road to take on the Buffalo Bills. Tennessee not having a great time right now, guys. They are 1-4 on the season. In their last game, they lost against the Colts 20-17. Sounds like the Titans are going to be starting Rudolph here in this game against the Bills. I don't necessarily think that's going to save them. Not shocked to see them move on here a little bit from Will Levis. Did not seem like him and the head coach were really getting along too great, and he could not limit those costly mistakes. In their last game there against the Colts, we didn't like what we see. I mean, only putting up 17 points, not a great look. Levis passing for under 100 yards and getting picked off once. Super duper makes sense to me that they would move on from him. The running game behind Pollard there and Spears looked pretty good, so I think this is a team that would definitely love to be able to focus on running the ball. They just don't usually find themselves in positions to have a lead or even to keep the game super close in the early going. So we'll see what they can do on offense. Obviously DeAndre Hopkins probably hating his life right now. Another bad quarterback situation for him. And the Titans defense has kind of been a different story, guys. They've been pretty good defensively last week against Joe Flacco. They looked all right. No sacks there, but some decent stuff. They did a good job of holding down the running game. And over the course of the season, this defense has really been the lone bright spot for the Titans, who, obviously having a pretty bad year, but their defense is doing well. They're 13th in the NFL, allowing 22 points per game. And they've, done well against some tough opponents, at least, tried to keep themselves in some games, but with such terrible quarterback play, at least leading up to this week, that has been a really tough thing to win games. It's really hard to win a game as a defense. You need at least a little bit of production there from your offense, and they're going to need a lot of production here as they take on the Buffalo Bills, who come into this game fresh off of that 23-20 win there at the Jets last week. At 4-2, the Bills still have work to do this season, although they are easily atop the AFC East. Not an AFC East that's been having a great time. Obviously, you gotta love what you're seeing from Buffalo right now, picking up Amari Cooper. That's gonna make this, passing attack for Josh Allen even more potent, and it's gotta feel great for them to keep him away from the Kansas City Chiefs. Last week against the Jets, obviously not the cleanest game. It's almost a little bit tough to say that the Bills deserve to win that one, but we saw Josh Allen absolutely just ignore or shrug off a concussion in the previous week and pass for 2 touchdowns, 215 yards. He didn't get super duper active in the running game, but he did run for a touchdown. We saw Ray Davis look fantastic in the running game, so that's a great sign here. If the Bills can have a nice running game to go along with what's going to be I would say a much better passing game now, you pick up a big time wide receiver. That can make a big difference. And overall, guys, a very good game for them against the Jets. They turned the ball over 0 times. Just had a little bit of trouble out there consistently moving the ball in a game that had a crap load of penalties. So we'll see what happens out there. I'm expecting very good stuff from the Bills on offense. On defense, guys, giving up only 20 points against the Jets, picking up 3 sacks in the game. They did struggle a little bit against the run, so that could be a slight concern here against the Titans, but the Titans not a very good team, not as good as the Jets, not like the Jets are an amazing team, but still not liking what we're seeing from the Titans. So I do think the Bills find themselves in a pretty good spot in this game. And over the course of the season, I'm not going to necessarily be throwing the Bills defense a parade, but 11th in the NFL, giving up 21 points a game, I don't think that's any super huge reason for concern. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Bills at -9.5. We've got an over-under of 41 out there. Tennessee, they're 1-4 against the spread, 2-1 to the over-under. Buffalo, 3-3 against the spread, and 3-3 to the over-under. Guys, these big favorite at-home kind of games are the ones where Josh Allen absolutely rolls. Getting Amari Cooper, a great ad there. It feels like this number should be at least 10, and at only 9.5, I feel even better here about the Bills. And the whole Rudolph situation, the Titans making a switch there at quarterback, that just makes me like Buffalo even more. Give me the Bills here. I think we see a blowout win and cover for them. In terms of the over-under, guys, not necessarily an over-under spot that I'm in love with. I would maybe lean slightly towards the under, as I don't see the Titans having a very good offensive day, but this over-under play, not one that I'm interested in at all. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals going on the road to take on the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals come into this game fresh off of a win last week over the Giants, but man, it was not a pretty win. And at 2-4 on the season, Cincinnati has to be reeling off wins consistently here down the stretch. In that 17-7 win over the Giants, we saw Joe Burrow do some positive things, having to make it happen there with his legs, a 47-yard run there and a rushing touchdown for Burrow. Not exactly something you're going to have, on a lot of people's bingo cards, but he was also good in the passing game, 208 passing yards. He continues to look good out there. He's doing whatever he can to help this team, have a chance to win games. We saw Chase Brown look good in the running game. Zach Moss did not. The Bengals haven't been amazing running the ball this season. We'll see what they can do in this one. Obviously, Burrow getting sacked 4 times last week is a bit of a concern. And, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase not putting up the kind of monster numbers that we're used to. So we'll see if they can bounce back a little bit here. Against the Giants last week, we saw the Bengals defense look better than they've looked at pretty much any other point this season. They really limited Daniel Jones. I don't know how big of a feat that is, but 1 interception, 2 sacks out there. They generated only that 1 turnover in the game. So that's, not bad at all. They did allow Daniel Jones to run a decent amount, and that could be a little bit of a concern going up against Deshaun Watson. But at this point in his career, guys, I don't really think Deshaun Watson is too much better of a runner of the ball than Daniel Jones. So, yeah, a little bit worrisome there that the Bengals could struggle a little bit against the Browns' running attack. But overall, Cincinnati definitely has to feel like that game last week was a step in the right direction, especially for their defense. And this week, it's not like they're taking on the scariest opponent. They're taking on the Cleveland Browns, who are 1-5 on the season. They come into this game fresh off of a close loss last week at the Eagles. They lost 20-16. A little bit of a bounce back after getting blown out by Washington. We just continue to see them run Deshaun Watson out there. Got to be getting a little bit embarrassing at this point. He's been historically bad this season, and last week wasn't much better. 16 of 23, 168 passing yards. He was sacked 5 times, and he didn't do too much in the ground game. We didn't see Cleveland look awful in the ground game. Their two-headed monster there, Strong Jr. and Foreman, combined for 18 carries and 74 yards. So not the end of the world, but maybe not what I would term as an elite running game. Obviously, getting rid of your top wide receiver isn't going to make things any easier for Deshaun Watson. It's been a rough season out there for the Browns on offense. They're not a very good offensive team, and it's not like their defense is elite either. They give up 2 passing touchdowns to Jalen Hurts, only that 1 sack. They did hold Saquon Barkley in check there in the running game, so that's at least something positive. They didn't generate any turnovers, so that's not great. And over the course of the year, guys, this Browns defense, last year they were so dominant at home. This year they're 19th in the NFL, giving up 23.5 points per game. So not really loving what we're seeing from Cleveland right now. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Browns, they're getting 5.5 points at home. We've got an over-under out there of 41.5. Cincinnati, they're 3-3 against the spread and 4-2 to the over. Cleveland, they are 2-4 against the spread and 4-2 to the under. Guys, if this gets up above 6 points, I think the value would flip here and we would have to take the Browns, but at anything under 6 here at this 5.5 point, I think I like the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not sure if I like this enough to put it in the pinned comment, but they are definitely a team that can score in bunches. The Browns defense has not been nearly as good at home as they were last season, and just not nearly as good as they have been in past years overall. Deshaun Watson looks like a nightmare, and I don't think the Cleveland offense is going to put up many points. Go ahead and give me the Bengals here on the road. In terms of the over-under of only 41.5, guys, I think I'm looking, honestly, and this sounds gross, but slightly towards the over, as neither defense really impresses me, and at least the Bengals can score the ball a little bit, and I think the Cincinnati defense is so bad, we will even see Deshaun Watson and company get on the board a little bit. So a slight lean towards the over, but I think the value in this one, as long as it stays below that key number of 6, is on the Cincinnati Bengals. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Houston Texans going on the road to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Texans come into this game fresh off of a blowout win there at the New England Patriots last week. So, yeah, not going to be throwing you a parade for that, but at 5-1 on the season, they are easily atop the standings there in the AFC South. So, got to feel good about that. Last week, despite not having Nico Collins, we saw CJ Stroud have a very good game, 3 passing touchdowns. He was picked off once, and I guess he didn't break 200 passing yards, so we're not going to be throwing him in a parade, but only sacked twice out there. He did what he needed to do, and getting Joe Mixon back for this team was a huge deal. 13 carries, 102 yards on the ground, and 1 running touchdown. We also saw Pierce put up a rushing touchdown, 76 yards on 8 carries. This was just a dominant performance there from the Texans. They looked just, way better, easily outclassing the Patriots, which I mean, that's probably not that tough to do. And on defense, they look good. A couple of interceptions there against a rookie quarterback can't feel terrible. They did a good job of limiting the running game and forcing a total of four turnovers in that game. Very, very good stuff. So Houston got to be feeling good here, but they are about to get tested going on the road to play at Lambeau Field against the Packers. Green Bay comes into this game 4-2 on the season. They won each of their last 2 weeks. A close, crazy game at the Rams, and then last week easily handling business in a blowout win at home over the Arizona Cardinals. Jordan Love looks like he is healthy and ready to go out there. Things are looking up. 4 passing touchdowns, 0 sacks. He was picked off once. He threw for 258 yards. He didn't have to do much in the running game, which is always a good sign. We saw Josh Jacobs do a great job of running the ball there for the Packers, so that's nice. And yeah, up and down, guys, this Packers team is looking very, very good. Only that single turnover in the game. The offense is definitely firing on all cylinders. And defensively, they did a great job of holding down Kyler Murray and what can at times be an explosive Cardinals offense. Yeah, giving up only the 1 passing touchdown, 214 passing yards. They severely limited the running game there for the Cardinals as well. This Packers defense, guys, pretty good. They generated 3 turnovers in the game. Like, Green Bay is absolutely no joke, and they get to play this game at Lambeau Field, which has to feel very, very good. They're 9th in the NFL in points allowed. They're 2nd in the NFL in rushing yards per game. This Packers team is on a tear right now. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see Green Bay, they're -3 playing at home. We've got an over-under of 48.5 out there. Guys, unfortunately, I can't give you my lean on the side in this game, but I can tell you I'm leaning here slightly towards the over. I think we've got 2 teams that are going to score. I think Houston's going to score. Are they going to score enough to keep up here? Not going to be able to give you a huge lean on that. Are the Packers going to score enough to get a convincing win? I'm not sure, but all that's going to add up to plenty of points. So go ahead and give me over 48.5 as my main lean on this game. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Miami Dolphins going on the road to take on the Indianapolis Colts. The Dolphins come into this game not really having the most fun they've ever had. They did pick up a win their last time out, taking down the Patriots 15-10, but yeah, this is rough, guys. They had Tyler Huntley under center, 194 passing yards, 1 interception, 3 sacks. He didn't do anything impressive in the running game either. We did see the Dolphins running attack look great, though. Jalen Wright and Mostert combined for 166 yards on 32 carries, so very little wrong with that. This team can definitely still move the ball on the ground, at least, under the assumption that, they're going to get something going on defense. I mean, only allowing 10 points against the Patriots and Jacoby Brissett had to not feel terrible. Obviously, the Dolphins coming off of that bye week. We'll see what they can do out there. This isn't a team that's been, particularly dominant in any phase of the game, especially since Tua went down. There's, starting to be some news that he might come back. I mean, A-Chain has cleared the concussion protocol, so he should be back soon. Maybe they get Tua back out there in time for this team to save their season, but they've got to find some wins here in the meantime, and they did that against New England, so maybe this season isn't completely doomed here for Miami as they go on the road to take on the Colts, who apparently are going to be handing the ball here back to Anthony Richardson. Yeah, this seems like a pretty weird spot. They got the win last week at Tennessee. Joe Flacco played pretty well in that game, so interesting to see them decide to go ahead and pull the trigger and switch it up, giving the ball back to Anthony Richardson, somebody who hasn't really shown the kind of development I was hoping for this season, but overall, he's still very inexperienced, so maybe they view this as a throwaway season. They don't care that Flacco gives them the better chance to win right now. They just want Richardson out there to get the reps, so we'll see what he can do. We did see some good things from the Colts rushing game last week, but not elite stuff, although running the ball against the Titans can be a little bit rough at times. Generally speaking, though, the Colts, not a team that I've been, super thrilled about, and on defense not last week, but their last time out on defense, they got gouged by the running game, something that is a huge, huge concern for them here going up against the Miami Dolphins, who are going to want to really, really establish the run. That's the main way they can move the ball these days. So looking at the numbers for this game, the Colts are 3-point favorites at home. We've got an over-under of 43.5. Miami is 1-4 against the spread this season. They are 4-1 to the under. The Colts are 5-1 against the spread somehow this year, and 3-3 to the over-under. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Dolphins and the points are the side in this game. The Colts are not very good at stopping the run. Miami is only going to want to run the ball. I don't like what we're seeing from Anthony Richardson. Obviously, taking the Dolphins on the road feels pretty rough, but I do think that's the value side in this one. The Miami Dolphins +3. This has a chance to end up in the pinned comment. I know it seems crazy, but when you have a matchup of a strength against a weakness and you've got Anthony Richardson as the starting quarterback on the other side, I think it's time to be taking a serious look at the Miami Dolphins. In terms of the over-under here of 43.5, I definitely think you want to take a look at the under. The Colts offense, I don't think is going to be doing much, and Miami's going to want to run the ball. I think both teams would like to run the ball, so go ahead and give me under 43.5 as well, but I definitely think the value in this one is the Miami Dolphins at +3. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Detroit Lions going on the road to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Before I even dive into this too deep, guys, I gotta tell you, I do have a premium pick on this one against the spread, so I'm not going to be able to give out my side on this one. I will give you my best lean, though, on the over-under. The Lions come into this game playing pretty well, winners of 3 in a row and winners of, obviously, 4 out of their last 5. They're 4-1 on the season. Things are looking good. Goff is throwing the ball well. Generally speaking, this has been a team that's, had a pretty good time over the last few games. Not against the toughest opponents, beating Arizona, Seattle, and Dallas, but they've handled those games very comfortably. So got to give them some credit there. Obviously, that injury to Aiden Hutchinson is going to really, hamper things for this defense. He really generated, he's a game-breaking kind of defender, guys. He is an amazing player. Really sucked to see him go out with such a tough injury. We'll hopefully, hope for a, quick and safe recovery for him. That kind of stuff can be pretty scary. In terms of their defense this season, the Lions have been very good, 8th in the National Football League, allowing 18.2 points per game. And obviously, they dominated the Cowboys last week. Not really sure how much we should be reading into that, but we'll see what they can do here against the Minnesota Vikings, who come into this game undefeated on the season. Still, they're coming off of their bye week. Before heading into their bye week, they got the 23-17 win against the Jets. This Vikings team kind of came out of nowhere. They have, cleaned up. They've got a good win there against San Francisco. They've got a game that got very sloppy at the end, but a win at Green Bay. So I think they have to feel pretty good about their season. Obviously, Sam Darnold coming out of nowhere as, part of that. He's had a really good year. We've seen great stuff from the Vikings running game as well. Like, this is a team that's, been killing it out there. No doubt about that. On the defensive side of the ball, guys, they're 4th in the NFL, allowing only 15.2 points per game. And in their last game, guys, they did a great job giving up only 17 points against the Jets. They picked off, Rodgers 3 times in that game. They didn't give up much to the run at all. It was a dominant performance there for the Vikings. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Vikings are 1.5 point favorites at home. We've got an over-under of 50.5. Detroit, they're 4-1 against the spread this year, 3-2 to the under. Minnesota, they are 5-0 against the spread this year and 4-1 to the under. Guys, I'm not making this too complicated in terms of the over-under. I like under 50.5. Both these teams are showing trends towards the under. Both of them can play defense. It will be interesting to see how the Lions respond there after that Hutchinson injury, but I don't think their defense is going to just fall apart because of that. Give me under 50.5 points in this one. Honestly, I like this spot enough. It could end up in the pinned comment. I think we're going to see offense at an absolute premium in this game, and I don't think either offense is really going to go nuts out there. So the under is definitely my play. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles going on the road to take on the New York Giants in an NFC East showdown. The Eagles come into this game fresh off of a win over Cleveland, a 20-16 win, and we really saw Sirianni get real weird out there. Very pumped up to be beating one of the worst teams in the NFL. So we'll see how that goes. In that win over Cleveland, a win that apparently was a real big deal to the Eagles. I mean, to win by only 4 seems kind of embarrassing to beat Cleveland by only 4 points, if I'm being honest. We saw Jalen Hurts look good, 2 passing touchdowns, only 1 sack, 264 yards through the air. Saquon Barkley actually got held in check a little bit. Not something we've seen happen to him very much this season. 18 carries, 47 yards. So yeah, not what we're used to seeing from him. Definitely a bounce back spot. Obviously having A.J. Brown back and Devontae Smith was a huge deal. A.J. Brown, caught a touchdown pass and 116 receiving yards. So an excellent day for him. And on defense, slowing down the Browns, really not that much to be excited about. But, 5 sacks out there. Congratulations. You were able to put up your numbers against Cleveland. So we'll see what the Eagles can do in this one as they go on the road here to take on the New York Giants, who just took a very tough 17-7 loss last week against Cincinnati. Obviously at 2-4 in the season, not having a great time. We saw Daniel Jones really struggle out there against the Bengals. Obviously your quarterback has struggled if you only put up 7 points in a game. He completed 22 of 41 passes, got picked off once and sacked twice. He did a decent job running the ball. 11 carries for 56 yards, but overall the Giants running attack wasn't what I would call elite. Darius Slayton, 6 receptions, 57 yards. Yes, not a lot of positives out there for the Giants offense, and they were going up against a defense that historically has been pretty bad this season. So in need of a bounce back there. I would say on defense, the Giants were very, very good, giving up only 17 points to the Bengals. A very potent passing attack. Yeah, they let Joe Burrow kind of run all over the place, but other than that, guys, it was a very good performance from the Giants defense. You give up only 17 points in a game, you're going to expect to have plenty of chances to win out there. So looking at the numbers for this one, guys, the Giants are getting 3 points at home in this one. We've got an over-under of 42.5. The Eagles are 2-3 against the spread and 3-2 to the under. The Giants are 3-3 against the spread and 5-1 this season to the under. This is a super close spot to me, guys. At +3, I think we like the Giants. If this gets down to -2.5, if you can find 2.5s out there, I think we like the Eagles a little bit. Neighbors is back for this game, which is a really big deal, which makes me lean even more here towards the Giants at +3. So go ahead and give me the Giants in this game. I think they find a way to maybe even win this one straight up playing at home in terms of the over-under of 42.5. I'm going to be leaning slightly towards the under here, mostly just going with the trends these two teams have shown. I'm not in love with either, either offense, and the Giants defense looked good last week. The Eagles defense should be decent out there. So yeah, generally speaking, I think a shade towards the under is fine, but I really like the Giants at +3 in this game, as long as you can still find that number now that we have Neighbors back out there on the field. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Las Vegas Raiders going on the road to take on the LA Rams. The Raiders come into this game fresh off of a 32-13 blowout loss against Pittsburgh. Not a great look, and things are getting very, very bleak out there in Las Vegas right now, guys. Yeah, a lot of talk about how they don't have any sort of home field advantage. I think that's very, very fair to point out, but really, guys, that's not the problem. This team just sucks. Not looking like a great time there for Antonio Pierce. You know, that the head coaching gig is going to be a little bit rocky there if you can't put up some wins. And yeah, we saw Aiden O'Connell struggle last week. He didn't look great. It seems like we're probably going to have him under center again. And yeah, 27-40, 227 yards. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and getting sacked once. Not great. Generally speaking, the offense looked terrible. They couldn't run the ball against Pittsburgh, which is a little bit understandable. Pittsburgh's a good defense, but man, this offense is bad. Obviously, having to trade away, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL because you couldn't convince him to stay because you are absolutely terrible on offense. Not a great feeling, and this defense, guys, not very good, giving up 32 points last week against the Steelers. They absolutely could not stop the run here, and yeah, this is just not a great look here. I mean, I guess they did some decent things against Justin Fields, but I'm not going to freak out about that. Fields isn't even apparently good enough to keep starting games there for the Steelers. So yeah, not in love with what I'm seeing from the Raiders. They're also very banged up. That injury report not looking too hot, and yeah, it seems like a team that is maybe teetering there on the edge of quitting on their coach. So we'll see what happens out there for the Raiders. The Rams come into this game 1-4 on the season, not having a good time coming off of that 24-19 loss against Green Bay, a game the Rams definitely could have won. Yeah, in terms of injuries, the good news is they're starting to get a little bit healthier. Cooper Kupp, technically questionable for this game, but it seems like he's definitely trending towards playing. Kyren Williams, they're going to be hoping for big things from him in their game against Green Bay. Guys, we saw some nice stuff out there, generally speaking. I mean, Stafford did get picked off once and sacked 3 times, but passed for 260 yards and a passing touchdown. Kyren Williams continues to look like an absolute monster, and he's got to be licking his chops here in this matchup that he's about to have against the Raiders. Bringing back an actual top tier wide receiver is going to be a huge deal for Stafford and this offense in general. Kyren Williams got to clean up those mistakes, though. That fumble that he had last week, very costly. Or not last week, in their last game, very costly. On the defensive side of the ball, the Rams aren't amazing, but giving up only 224 passing yards to Jordan Love, not terrible. They generated an interception, a couple sacks out there. They weren't great against the run, but I don't think you have to worry about that too much when you're going up against the Raiders. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the Rams are -7. We've got an over-under of 43.5. The Raiders are 2-4 against the spread this season, 4-2 to the over. The Rams are 1-4 against the spread this year, and 3-2 to the over themselves. Guys, unfortunately, we've missed out on the best of this number. It's all the way up to 7 now, but with Aiden O'Connell under center for the Raiders, I think they're in really bad shape. It would have been great to get this at 6, but right now, I'm not worried. The Rams getting healthier with Kupp back feels awesome. We're going to be taking the Rams here at -7. I feel like the Raiders, guys, have pretty much just quit on their head coach. This whole situation seems like a nightmare. Lots of dudes wanting out. Anybody that's decent on this team is looking to leave this sinking ship. So go ahead and give me the Rams at -7 in this one. In terms of the over-under, I do think there's some reason to take over 43.5. I don't love the Rams defense that much, and I don't like anything that I'm seeing from the Raiders. Give me the Rams here at -7 and a little bit of a look at over 43.5. Moving right along here, guys, we're going to look at the Carolina Panthers going on the road to take on the Washington Commanders. The Panthers come into this game 1-5 on the season, so straight up not having a good time. They just got blasted by Atlanta last week, 38-20. I think that game was actually a little bit closer than the final score would indicate, but really not anything to be positive about right now for the Panthers. Ever since that win they had over the lowly Raiders in the first, game of Andy Dalton getting back under center, things, the wheels have come off, guys. Losing by 10 against Cincinnati, getting blown out by Chicago, and then blown out against Atlanta. We didn't like what we saw last week, no doubt about that, guys. They did put up 20 points. Andy Dalton had a couple of passing touchdowns, but he was also picked off twice. Chuba Hubbard is really the lone bright spot for this team, guys. 18 carries, 92 yards last week. He is a very consistent producer, but really across the board, this just isn't a team that's very good at moving the ball. They're fine, I guess. They're okay. They're not the offense isn't the biggest problem, guys. It's this defense that's been devastated by injuries. They did generate 1 turnover last week, but they gave up 38 points. And over the course of the season, this defense has been terrible. They had no answers for the running game last week, and that's going to be a huge problem here going up against the Washington Commanders. Yeah. Overall, this season, they're last in points allowed, giving up 33.8 points per game. They're 28th in points scored themselves. This is just a terrible, terrible Panthers team, and they're taking on a Commanders squad that's in a bounce-back spot coming off of a competitive loss last week there at Baltimore. Anybody that got the Commanders at +7.5 was able to cash a win there, but they did what they could against Baltimore. It was an interesting game. The Commanders definitely had their chances. We had to eventually see this team, cool down a little bit. Jaden Daniels looked very good out there. 2 rushing touchdowns, 269 yards through the air. He was sacked 3 times, but he also couldn't really get going in the running game like he's used to doing, and the Washington running game in general couldn't get going, so that's something they should be able to and should be looking to fix in this game going up against Carolina. In general, their defense did struggle, but everybody struggles against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Being unable to stop the run against the Panthers is definitely a concern. You've got Chuba Hubbard over there and a pretty decent run blocking team, but overall, guys, I think the Commanders are, in a good position to take advantage of a bad team here. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Commanders there all the way up to 9.5 point favorites at home. We've got an over-under out there of 51.5. Carolina 1-5 against the spread, 5-1 to the over. Washington 4-1-1 against the spread, and 5-1 to the over themselves. Guys, I think this is a huge bounce-back spot here for the Commanders. I like them to get the blowout win and cover. I know they got to win by 10 points. I know that's a lot. I don't think that's going to be a problem here. I am a little bit worried about their defense always, but I think they're going to be fine against Andy Dalton. I do worry about their ability to stop the run, but the Commanders and Jaden Daniels are going to be able to run whenever and wherever they want in this game. I'm expecting a big game, a big bounce back here from Washington. They are going to dominate in this one. And on that kind of same side of the coin, guys, the over-under here at 51.5, that's a big number, but both teams showing big trends towards the over, and I think there's a reason for that. Go ahead and give me over 51.5 as a very solid play in this game as well. I think we're going to see tons of offense out there. The Panthers are going to be able to move the ball at least somewhat. They're going to get on the board, and I think we can see Washington score an obscene amount of points in this game, so go ahead and give me that over. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs going on the road to take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs come into this game 5-0 on the season, still undefeated. Coming off of that bye week is always a good time for Kansas City. In their last game, they took care of business against the Saints, so that was nice, and this team just seems to find a way to win at the end of games every single time. In that win against the Saints, we saw Mahomes do his thing when he needed to do it. Obviously, 26 points there. Yeah, not all up to him, but I mean, he did get picked off once, but he passed for 331 yards. We saw Kareem Hunt and Mahomes both look pretty good there in the running game, with Kareem Hunt obviously carrying the major load there. 27 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster went absolutely nuts out there. That was crazy. We do see him, maybe on the injury report, but I think the word right now is that he's very likely to play in this game. And overall, guys, this team just has to feel much better about how things look offensively. Travis Kelce continues to improve here as the season goes on. 9 catches there for 70 yards. He caught 9 out of his 10 targets. That is crazy work. The connection between him and Mahomes is absolutely elite. And yeah, guys, I mean, even on the defensive side of the ball, the Chiefs continue to look good against a pretty solid Saints, at times. Not really now that they're so banged up, but back then against a solid Saints, offense. They did a great job against Carr. He was under pressure the whole night. They picked him off once, sacked him once. They did a great job shutting down the running game there from the Saints, and they didn't let any of the wide receivers really go too nuts. So really, guys, this Chiefs defense is being, I feel like, a little bit overlooked, a little bit undervalued this season. They are 6th in the NFL, allowing only 17 points per game. They're top 5 in passing yards. Like, this is just an elite team, kind of up and down the roster here. And when you've got Mahomes out there, there's really no reason to be too concerned, guys. So we're going to see what they can do here going on the road this week to take on the San Francisco 49ers, who are 3-3 on the season. They're coming off of a 36-24 win over Seattle, which I'm going to be honest was a little bit sloppy. This is not the full-strength 49ers. Until they get Christian McCaffrey back, we're not going to really know what we've got out there. I mean, we did see a big game there from Brock Purdy against Seattle, one of the worst defenses in the NFL. 3 passing touchdowns, 255 yards through the air. All nice stuff there. The running game looked good as well. I mean, yeah, a two-headed monster there of Isaac and Jordan. They put in a solid work. Deebo Samuel looked great. I mean, he only had 3 receptions and 5 targets, but he managed to get 107 yards out there. A 76-yard reception will do that for you. He looked very good out there. Not hating anything we're seeing right now from the 49ers offense, at least when they're going up against a terrible defense. Guys, going up against the Chiefs is going to be absolutely nothing like it was going up against Seattle Seahawks. On defense, the 49ers looked okay out there. They did give up over 300 passing yards, but they had a couple of interceptions there. They did a good job of holding down the running game. They only had 1 sack in the game, so that's not great, but when you force a total of 3 turnovers, good things are usually going to happen for your team. So pretty generally speaking, liking what we saw from the 49ers last week over the course of the season. And in terms of their health right now, we do have a few question marks, guys, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the numbers for this game. The 49ers are actually favorites in this one. They're -1.5 at home. We've got an over-under of 47 out there. Kansas City, they are 4-1 against the spread this season. They are 3-2 to the under. The 49ers are 3-3 against the spread and 4-2 to the over, guys. This is going to be an interesting game in terms of the over-under here. I'm leaning a little bit towards the under. I don't think we're going to see a crazy amount of offense in this game. Both teams are decent on defense. I think we could see the Chiefs struggle a little bit to run the ball here against the 49ers, or a little bit more than normal. I think we're going to see the 49ers struggle in general against this elite Chiefs defense. So go ahead and give me under 47 as my free pick on this one. I do have a lean on this game against the spread. Unfortunately, can't give that one out right here. Last but not least here, guys, we are going to be looking at the Sunday night football matchup between the New York Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jets come into this game only 2-4 on the season. They lost a heartbreaker against the Bills last week, a game they could have definitely won if they could have just made a couple field goals or not made some really costly mistakes. We see the Jets, big time staying in the news there. Picking up Davante Adams is going to be a huge deal for this team. The reunion between him and Aaron Rodgers is being billed as a super big deal. We'll see what kind of difference that can immediately make out of the gate. Last week against the Bills, we saw Rodgers look decent but not elite, almost 300 passing yards. He was sacked 3 times, 2 touchdown passes, 1 interception. So we'll see if he can improve on that a little bit, but that was, not a bad day from Rodgers. What was really good to see there for the Jets was that running game get online. Breece Hall, 18 carries, 113 yards on the ground. A lot of that due to a 42-yard run there. He looked very good. This is a team that could benefit a ton from running the ball, and we're going to see less guys in the box against them with, Davante Adams coming in and demanding even more attention there from opposing secondary. So we'll see what we get there. I mean, a great day from Lazard. This is now a team with a very loaded group of wide receivers. It is put up or shut up time for Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see what he can do. Now is the time to really start making some noise. This is a team that obviously has work to do, guys. At only 2-4 on the season, they're 2 full games back of Buffalo there in the AFC East. Yeah, not the toughest AFC East we've ever seen. So time for the Jets to figure some stuff out there as they go on the road to take on the Steelers, who are really rocking the boat right now, guys. Their last game was a 32-13 win over Las Vegas. They're 4-2 on the season, tied for first place in the AFC North, and Mike Tomlin has decided it is time to make a change at quarterback, guys. Russell Wilson is going to be out there under center in this game. That's what all the reports are saying. Tomlin won't come out and really say it, but we're even seeing, different guys on the offense, different guys on the defense. Pickens, for instance, saying that it is going to be a Russell Wilson start there for this game. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. I guess there could be some weird trickeration that would be really annoying, but it seems like definitely a spot where they are going to be handing the ball to Russell Wilson. And I don't know if you remember what we saw from Russell Wilson last year, guys, but it was really bad. So we'll see if he has some sort of major turnaround. I'm not expecting that, though. So we'll see what happens out there for the Steelers on offense. Obviously, they're going to need to be running the ball, which they were able to do very easily against the Raiders last week with Harris and Fields both putting up good ground numbers. Obviously, we won't be seeing Fields out there, so that's going to be interesting. On defense, they didn't look quite as sharp. They gave up a decent amount in the passing game to O'Connell. They did do well against the running game. They had 1 sack and 1 interception in the game, but they generated 2 other turnovers, so a 3-turnover day and giving up only 13 points. Really nothing wrong with that there for the Steelers. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Steelers are plus 1.5 at home. We've got an over-under of 38.5. The Jets are 2-4 against the spread and 3-2-1 to the under this season. The Steelers are 4-2 against the spread and 4-2 to the under. Guys, if it's Russell Wilson out there, I like the Jets. Benching Justin Fields makes no sense at this point in the season. We've got, Mike Tomlin as an underdog at home. That's usually where you want to go with him, but I'm not going with anybody that's putting Russell Wilson under center, at least not in his first start of the year. This is definitely going to be a spot where I jump on the New York Jets. They are a loaded offensive team at this point. Rodgers got to figure things out, but they should be absolutely killing it out there. So expecting good things from the Jets in this game. The Jets at minus 1.5, definitely going in the pinned comment. In terms of the over-under here, guys, we got both teams showing trends towards the under, and this is a primetime game, which makes under 38.5 definitely feel live to me. I think we're going to see a ton of really dumb mistakes there from Russell Wilson, so go ahead and give me a tiny lean on under 38.5, but my main lean on this game is those New York Jets there at minus 1.5. I think they're in a very good spot. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.